Hello, everyone. Welcome to Popcast on the Rocks, episode 124. We're an entertainment pop culture podcast that talks about pop culture things. And sometimes there's whiskey. My name is John, and I'm joined as always by Andrea. How's it going?
Good, good. How are you doing?
Good. I just feeling redundant tonight again. I guess it's been a while since we've been here. My intro's all shaky, but we are back for another fun episode. We're going to talk about Hot D, House of the Dragon, episode 8. We're a little behind, so I mean, we're giving you all a chance to watch the show along with us. So we'll give you our thoughts, and then there are a number of news stories, a little more video game heavy as far as news this week. So yeah, lots of fun ahead. Andrea, what are our drink holidays?
There have been a couple since we've done our last show, although it's been pretty light heading into the end of October. But I'm just going to talk about the most recent two. Apologies to those of you who might be offended that I'm skipping Pinotage Day or Kegger Weekend. Um,
Mhm.
but the most recent ones we have are October 19th was International Gin and Tonic Day, a day I quite enjoy as it's one of my go-to drinks of choice. And then recently, 2 days ago, it was National Mezcal Day, also
Nice.
go-to of mine in a margarita. So,
Yeah.
I am, uh, I am celebrating the first with my, non-alcoholic G&T. You can't see me, but I'm raising a glass, so cheers.
I can still see you. Um,
Mhm. John can vouch for me, internet
yep.
world.
Yeah, perfect. I will oh, there we go. Wow, you're
Mhm.
back. Um I
Magic.
have uh I have an alcohol filled G&T.
Yay,
So,
good for you.
yeah. Mhm.
One of us should. My
It's delicious too.
unfortunately, that whole pregnancy thing does get in the way of enjoying a real G&T, but I can pretend for the next 4.5 months.
That darn pregnancy. Oh, what the heck.
Darn it! Darn it! One day I'm
Yeah,
gonna show my kids these and be like, "Look how I sacrificed for you."
that's right. Yep. Well, good job announcing to the audience.
That's right,
Preggers again.
surprise.
Yep.
Yep, yep.
All right,
I'm
well,
back, I can't be stopped.
we'll salute to that. Cheers to that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Cheers. Um
Um, oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
as far I was just gonna say as far as other things go, my week has been pretty light. Watching some of my usual suspects, Halloween Wars and Great British Baking Show, which had its Halloween week this week, which was very fun to watch. But two things I wanted to mention in the spirit of rolling towards Halloween itself. I'm reading a new webtoon called The Guy Upstairs, which was just
Oh,
recently released. And it's definitely an is he, isn't he, uh, um,
yeah.
like serial killer kind of story. So I'm digging it. And then I also watched the OG original Halloween this week, because I decided before I watched Halloween Ends, I wanted to go back and just like immerse myself in the Halloween series. So, and I think I only watched Halloween, the original, for the first time like 3 years ago
Wow.
when Chris and I dressed up for your Halloween party, as Michael Myers and
Oh,
Laurie
yeah.
Strode. Yeah. So we had never seen that before then. So I was like, "You know what? I really haven't watched that all this much. Let's go back. Let's rewind."
Isn't it amazing the movies a person misses out on? Just
Yes. Just
I
like
mean, obviously,
staples,
that was kind of
classics.
before our time, but yeah, it's a classic is what you'd expect you would see. So,
Right. And like I
yeah.
still got references from it without seeing it. So that
Sure.
should have like pointed out to me like, "Hey, you should probably watch this." So,
Yep.
yeah, so I'm
Well,
gonna
I
plug
love
that.
that you read that when I read in your notes that you're doing that because that actually came up with this same kind of idea, but with the Conjuring movies. So obviously
Oh, good
not
ones.
like classic or whatever, but she was listening to something and they said it's really cool actually to watch all those movies because there's like 7 of them.
I know, I forget
Shockingly,
now.
yeah.
Yeah.
But to watch them in chronological order as opposed to release order. So
Oh,
we
okay.
started with The Nun, which is, the birth of everything there. Wow, now what is this
Now
like?
too.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of like that. I can make faces here. Sorry for audio only listeners. Now my screen took its turn to take a dump. But
I feel like it popped up when you were starting to talk about, these movies, so it's, something to do with that. But I wanted to say it was very funny that you included that note because uh it definitely made me think of like, oh, this is just John's roundabout way of arguing his point about Star Wars.
it was absolutely not. That was not on my mind.
I know
In
you.
Yeah. If I had come up with this,
Nah,
maybe I
I'm
would have
kidding.
thought
I'm
of. But
kidding.
yeah, um, yeah, it's no. So we'd seen the Nun in the theater, and both Ashley
Right.
and I left kind of underwhelmed. But having watched it again, I honestly liked it a lot more. It
Okay.
just made more. I remember watching the first time and really questioning motives and choices and stuff that I just couldn't go along with the ride, and I didn't like some of the.
Mhm.
It didn't make a lot of sense, and seeing it a second time, it made more sense to me. I appreciated what the characters did better, and it just was all more
Mhm.
clear because I really always liked it visually. Just the
Sure.
structure of the script, I didn't, and I don't know. I liked it more this time, quite a bit more. So yeah,
Cool.
going
Yeah.
through the
I'll have
Conjuring
to I'll have
movies.
to get around to Yeah, I'll have to get around to doing that because I actually just saw something posted about like unexplained things that were happening on the set of The Conjuring and then kind of
Mm,
like, triggered me to be like, "Oh yeah, I really liked that movie. Like I should really get back into that universe. There are so many that I just forget about."
yeah, and it's
So,
so fun
yeah.
that they took, like, real life people and kind
Yeah.
of base
Mhm.
things around them, but then, add all this other
I mean,
crazy
yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Like drama for storytelling
Yeah.
effect and obviously, but still.
Mhm. I also went back and watched Underworld, so Halloween theme.
Oh, a good
Uh,
one. I love that movie.
like, I forgot what it was. Ashley was gone, and it was late or whatever, but watched a little something before I had to go to bed, and for whatever reason, I put that on. I've been wanting to watch it for a long time again.
Mhm.
It doesn't hold up as well as you might imagine, but it is still a lot of fun.
I
Like,
love that movie. I do.
I
The
just
first one
yeah,
is a fun premise, and I
yes,
love Michael Sheen. I think he's
yes,
perfectly cast in that movie. He just slays it. So does Bill Nighy, actually. Um,
yes.
but yeah, I love the setup of it, even if it's not always perfectly executed.
Yeah. Bill Nye, his voice and stuff and his, like, cadence he
Mhm.
has, the way he, like, holds on to certain sounds before he, like,
Right?
I don't know. It's just really good.
Well, he matches like some physicality to that, like the way that sometimes he'll like bark out a word and like you said,
Yeah.
he'll hold on to it. He just, oh God, he's such a like committed actor.
Mhm.
And I feel the same in his own unique way about Michael Sheen. Like they're
Yeah.
both such committed to the character actors that they just like there's a fluidity about Michael Sheen's performance in there that just like screams werewolf to me. So,
Oh, and he's he's like a little guy and kinda weird, whatever, but he's so badass in this movie, you know?
yes.
Like, the moment where they're, like, the music playing and he's, like, kinda just, like, you know, grimacing and squeezing bullets out of his skin and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you go from this to Tron his little guest appearance in Tron Legacy to then, like, Masters of Sex, like, those are
Yeah.
very different things, and they're all awesome. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. He is an actor who shapes a role for himself. Like
Yeah,
he can carve out like his own like solid commanding presence in a
like
movie.
Gary
I don't
Oldman.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, good movie. I mean, like you said, not like a classic or, not a great of cinema.
Right.
Uh, but it's fun. I like
Yeah.
it.
Yep. I'll try not to linger on too much. I guess I
Mm.
just wanna mention because really big, Chainsaw Man came
Mhm.
out. feels Halloween, adjacent or
Yes.
whatever. So I've seen the first 2 episodes now that, just premiered last week or whatever, and it's a good start. It's really well, and I have to say at this point, I mean, obviously gonna keep watching it, but there's not a too much that's like made me glued to it. Like I wasn't blown
Sure.
away. My expectations for this series are very high. So it's got a lot for it to meet that.
Mhm.
I did like the emotionality in the first one and some of the relationship they set up. Um,
It's got some work
action
to do.
yeah, action was good, but when there's too much or something, it loses impact or whatever. Um, I don't know. I'm enjoying it, but
Mhm.
just see where it goes.
Sure.
So, and there are videos out there if people are interested in all the movie references in the opening sequence. Well, that's fun.
I
There's
did see
tons of
that.
them.
I
Yeah,
love that. I am working my way through the first episode. I mean, I know it's not long, but I haven't really had a bunch of time this week, so
sure.
but I did see that. That was really cool.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, speaking of which, new releases, there's been Chainsaw Man, of course. Um, Black Adam came out now.
Mhm. I'm so
So
excited, going to see it on Wednesday.
so yeah, you'll have to
Like,
report back.
I will.
Uh,
I can barely contain my glee and terror. I so want it to be good, and I'm just so terrified, but I'm also so excited.
yeah. I I hope I hear it's fun.
Yes.
That's that's
Which, for DC,
yeah.
that's, uh that's some glowing praise right there,
Mhm.
because
Hey,
DC
you're
is
gonna
not
make some
often
people mad
fun.
somewhere. They're gonna how dare you, the DC
I don't
slander.
know that it's a surprise to anybody that
It
DC
is
movies
to a
struggled
certain
with
fan base is
fun.
very passionate about there's certain movies. That's
I
fine.
think there have been movies that are good, but, like, to say that a lot of them have been fun, to me, is a stretch.
It's just that the bad ones stand out. I mean, I really like Aquaman. I think it's classic storytelling there. It's a not a complicated story, but just good.
I
And
agree.
Wonder Woman is pretty powerful actually, and some great action sequences in it.
I agree.
Gal Gadot really shines. And Zack Snyder's cut, the Snyder cut, has a pretty
So
fun movie.
but see, what I feel like you're getting at is, like, are they good? And all I'm getting at is, are they fun?
I think all 3 of those are really good. I've
I
really good
think
superhero movies.
I think they're good, but are they fun?
Yes, I had
Okay.
fun with them
See,
too.
now to me, the fun ones, and while I'm no way disparaging Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League because I thought it was amazing. I did not think it was like if I were to describe the movie, I would not call it fun.
Okay.
Uh Shazam,
Oh, yeah.
Wonder Woman, and Aquaman to me were fun.
Okay.
The
Sure.
other movies were good. I just didn't think they were fun.
See, when it really comes down to it, then it's like, Man of Steel, a lot of people were real kind of mid reactions on that, and then,
Mhm.
um, Batman v Superman, which was like feels like a low point, so but anyways, on the Batman DC train here, or whatever,
Yes.
we've got Gotham Knights, which I think is out now. Video
Mhm.
game not being received well. Uh,
It's a bummer.
early, it came out. People were talking about how the game is only going to be 30 frames per second on these next gen or now current gen consoles. People were not very happy about that. And
Mhm.
they did some weird promotional videos early that really kind of mess with people as far as the tone of the game.
Right.
So it's not, we'll see what the sales are like. But right now, reviews and industry buzz is not high on this one.
Right.
Um, a game that the the industry is really a buzz about is A Plague Tale Requiem. The
Mhm.
first one, Innocence, really people loved it, but it didn't hit big. Seemed like it was kind of a one of those double A games or something like that, and went under the radar for a lot of people. Didn't get the publicity that maybe it should have. And
Mhm.
this one is, picks up right where the one left off. And I actually really want to play it. I think it looks really cool. It sounds like a perfect game for me. You
Mhm.
do need to play the first one first, to my understanding, to get the emotional
Okay.
impact of
Good
this
to know.
one. And so the first one was on Game Pass, and wisely I've taken it off, I suppose, as the new one comes out. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, sometime I hope to get to these. So, yeah, that's
Awesome.
out.
Yeah, I remember Plague Tale standing out in one of the showcases that I mean,
Yeah.
not terribly recently, but sometime,
Yep.
not too long ago we're watching and it looked really great. So,
Yeah.
I'd be excited about
This
it.
new one is on Game Pass, so if you have that, go ahead and
Okay.
give it a shot. And then I just wanted to mention, because my favorite K-pop group, they're pretty new. Le Sserafim, their second mini album is out now, and I like this group a lot. I know we talked before about forming a K-pop group, and we never did, but
This should be our time.
but I feel like this group a lot. They had an album the other year that was a lot of fun. I like every song. There's like 5 songs, I liked all of them except for one. And this one, it's a little more hit and miss for me, but this still catchy and I like it a lot. So
Okay. Is that
definitely,
what
this
you were
is
listening to pre-show?
yeah. This is the only, you're supposed to, with a K-pop group, you're supposed to become like a fan and know all about the
Mhm.
members and like all this stuff or whatever. This is the only group that I'm like paying attention to in any way like that. That would know the
Okay.
members' names or like follow them on
Sure.
social media things or something like that. So yeah. I'm invested in this new group and I hope they're
Okay.
they're in it to win it. So
All right. All right.
all right. We'll get into some news before House of the Dragon, and we're gonna start out with sad news, really sad news.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
I was pretty shocked to hear this the other day, but Hagrid, the beloved
Mhm.
Hagrid, Robbie Coltrane, has died.
Mhm. The beloved
Um,
gentle half giant.
yes.
And I
Um,
mean Hagrid, not Robbie Coltrane. I mean,
yeah.
although he was a large man,
Mhm.
just wanna be clear who I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
I
Uh,
guess he was sick for a while,
yeah.
so, um,
Yep.
but
Yeah,
yeah.
I know it came to a shock, it came as a shock to everyone, and it came as a shock to me too. Of course, speculation was rampant around what was the cause when it first came out, because usually, unfortunately, with shocking celebrity deaths, it's been, you know, drug related, alcohol related, something like that. And I was I don't know how to put this, but in a way relieved when it came out that he had, just been ill, because
Yeah.
I don't think I could take someone like Robbie Coltrane or
Right.
someone who played Hector, you know, having some kind of like substance issue.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, it was incredibly sad to see that released, I think yesterday, that he had been ill and died of sepsis.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. There is something that hits different just because for our childhood, I mean, obviously he's played lots of other things. I think I first
Mhm.
saw him in James Bond. That was my other introduction
Same,
to Goldeneye.
same.
That's pretty.
And he was in several Bond films, wasn't he? He
Well, he
wasn't
was
just
in
in the first one.
two, I think. I think it was
Was
just
he in The
that in
World Is
World
Not
in.
Enough?
Yeah. Hmm.
I swear he was in one more, but you could
No,
definitely be right.
because I think he didn't have a place in Tomorrow Never Dies. That would have been the other one, but
Yeah.
pretty sure. But yeah, it just that
So
he's
yeah.
and then he's Hagrid, it's pretty sad. And also that he seems so nice.
Mhm.
I always feel like obviously from the UK, but these Hollywood types, they all get famous and they become trash people. He always, as far as I knew, just seemed like a nice, genuine guy. always like
Mhm.
upstanding sort of dude. And
Yeah.
so yeah, pretty sad. Um,
Yeah.
anything else to say
Yeah.
about Robbie Coltrane?
N No, just that I thought it was really wonderful that his co-stars, posted such thoughtful tributes to him. Obviously,
Mm,
um, the younger cast of Harry Potter has grown up with two, I think, iconic and important actors who have recently passed, Alan
yeah,
Rickman and Robbie Coltrane. And it's really sad for them, because that's such a formative experience that's probably shaped a lot of who they are. And that's really devastating, um, you know, on a personal level, because I'm sure, given what they posted, that they were quite close.
yep,
Um, so yeah, so it's sad for the populace, and it's sad for those younger actors to
yep.
lose those kind of figures and role models.
Well, one more sad story. Um,
Mhm.
I don't know much about her, but Angela Lansbury, Golden Girl,
Yeah,
she's also died.
poor Angela Lansbury. I mean, I think like many kids of our generation, um, what immediately springs to mind for me, of course, is Mrs. Potts in Beauty and the Beast.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
did you not know that that was Angela
No,
Lansbury?
no.
Okay, well, it is. It
No, I
is.
do. That makes I mean,
Uh,
that seems right, yeah. Makes sense.
yeah. So, which I have to say, Beauty and the Beast was one of my favorite films as a kid, and now I think it's a wonderful
It holds
film.
up.
And there have been, of course, a lot of releases, around Twitter, tribute releases of like some behind the scenes moments for Angela Lansbury and Jerry Orbach, who played Lumiere, who also
Mm,
passed, I think, I want to say almost 5 years ago now, but they were just like such a
okay.
great, iconic
Duo.
actors and a great duo. But yeah, so that was, I think, probably what I knew her the longest as, and then, of course, she was, I believe, the detective in Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah, Alan posted that. That's right. I can't believe I forgot that one. That was long running. Boy, that was
That's
on TV a lot.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, I remember catching episodes here and there. I was never like, devout follower of the show, but she
Mhm.
she also kind of, back on the childhood train, she also played a role in one of my like offbeat favorite kids movies, which was Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
Okay.
Which I don't think is one that like many people have watched. It was very like, it's sort of like the Chronicles of Narnia, in which, you have like orphans from the war being taken in, um by like an eccentric widow in the country, and then, they have all sorts of adventures in this house, and because of like magical things that are happening. So it's kind of like a different twist on that. But it's very fun. I really liked it. And it kind of inspired some of my love of, English culture, customs,
Oh,
um, and kind of different locations that these people were able to travel to around England due to magic. Um,
sure.
so yeah, definitely recommend that one. It is offbeat, kind of quirky. You have to let go a little bit because it's not like your typical Disney fare, but it's a really good movie.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know why I thought she was in Golden Girls. I'm looking at her thing here. So I correct myself while I'm like in during the show here instead of having to do it for the next week. But yeah.
Mhm.
Long career here, all kinds of stuff for
Mhm.
sure. So,
Yeah.
um,
She's also one of those people, sort of like, I mean, speaking of Golden Girls, sort of like Betty White, who
mm,
always seemed to be a certain age.
yeah,
You
hmm
never really like thought about them young. And they were great looking when they were young, and they had careers and things like that, but you just sort of like always thought of them middle age forward. They
yeah.
always seemed to be a certain
That's a
age.
good way to put it.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you did. You just like, they always seem to exist that way.
Hmm. Well, according to IMDb, she's known for The Manchurian Candidate in 62, Anastasia in 97, Bed Knobs and Broomsticks, and
Yeah.
Beauty and Beast. So, yeah.
Forgot about Anastasia. Oh my gosh, that's a blast from the past.
I've never really watched that one, actually.
It's good. It's good. It's definitely one of those ones where you clearly know that the two main voice actors are not doing their own singing.
Ah, okay. Okay.
So, yeah, spoiler alert for anybody who's gonna watch that, Meg Ryan and John Cusack do not do their own singing as
Boo.
Anastasia and Dimitri.
Boo.
They do not.
Hmm.
I have no idea what Meg Ryan's singing voice sounds like, but I kind of feel like I'm okay without it. I would like to know what John Cusack's singing voice sounds like.
No, I wanna know both of them. Yeah, let's hear it.
So, well, you can't.
Shucks. All right. Well, moving on to non-related news.
Mhm.
What's this you found?
It's some sad news, but of a very, very different kind for Netflix subscribers.
Is it sad?
I think it is. It is for me, I guess, as
Okay.
a Netflix subscriber. So this is two-part news. Obviously, we've talked a lot about the fact that Netflix has been struggling, has seen subscriber loss, revenue loss, and they're casting around for a way to fix that. Here are two things that we have heard about for a long time that are finally being rolled out here in the US. The first is you can now buy a Netflix subscription with ads. It is obviously cheaper than plans that exist
Mhm.
now. Doesn't mean that your account is automatically going to have ads on it. You have to actually switch your current account. So, anybody who has one currently, do not fear, you will not suddenly see ads. It is an entirely different package. The second thing that is now being rolled out, isn't here quite yet, but it's literally just weeks away from happening, I believe. Is password sharing. Netflix is finally cracking down on that, and they will only allow one account per household unless you sign up sub accounts that have to
Mm,
pay. I think $2.99. Think you
okay.
can only sign up 1 or 2, if I remember this correctly. So you
Okay.
can still have family members that are, like, attached to your account, but you have to, like, re-sign them up as these sub-accounts. They
Okay.
will if they don't roll over, they'll get an option to roll over into their own plan, whatever that level they might choose, and then they'll get to keep, like, their watch history and all of things like that. But if they re-sign up as sub-accounts under your main account, 1, they'll have to pay $2.99 per, and 2, you will lose your watch history.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Hmm. I mean, um,
nothing
I
surprising, just
I
like it's happening. Get ready.
yeah, I mean, I guess I'm for this stuff. I mean, having another tier with ads, like I don't want it, but if it's there, it's available, someone wants it. And password sharing just makes sense. Like, you got to pay for the thing you're going to use. And
Mhm.
it's like, I this
It's just
when
yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you in the sense of it makes sense. It's just hard to have it and then have it taken away rather than just, like, kind of the crack down.
from the beginning, yeah, if it was just been, yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. I so sort of related. I mean, we talk about streaming services and all that stuff all the time, and you know,
Mhm.
is there a chance in 30 years we just don't do our interaction with entertainment from streaming platforms? Like in terms of movies and television shows, is
Mhm.
there a chance that this collapses? We
Sure.
just don't. I mean, what what caused? I mean, I'm likely to think it's not the case because we've kind of seen it and it's been proven long enough with music that though it probably hurt the music industry in ways. Um,
Mhm,
Audiences just kind of moved away from music as their number one entertainment, as we've talked about.
mhm.
So the industry sort of needed to shrink to recorrect to what people want, to the sort of expectations around it. So we have music streaming, and I think that's probably going to be the way it is. I don't see us going back to you have to buy something specifically, and then you know whether you then
Sure.
stream it. I mean, even if but I mean, I don't mean like buying something from a digital storefront and then streaming that content. I think there's no chance that's going away, basically. But I mean
Mhm.
a paid for a subscription to have access to a plethora of things.
Sure. So when I say it's entirely possible that streaming goes away, all I mean is I think we've seen the advent of so many things in the recent past that we could be watching something entirely differently, newer, better, quote unquote, in the next 30 years. No doubt in my mind that could absolutely happen. I don't think there's any chance of like reversing course
Hmm.
and going back to something. I just think that like I'm not willing to rule out a possibility that something new comes along, something that I haven't thought of, something that's already being worked
Sure,
on.
sure.
And this time it works. Unlike what was the thing that failed so
Uh,
hard?
QB,
Quibi?
Quibi, QB,
Qui-
QB,
Yeah, right. What was it?
Quibi, Quibi.
Quibi? Okay.
That is Quibi.
Yeah, whatever the frick that
Yeah.
was. Y'all know what we mean. That's how hard it died. We can't even remember it
Yeah.
correctly. So, I mean, yeah. I don't think there's any going back. I think there is going forward, and there's certainly things that, could be invented that I don't know about, that I can't even conceive of. So,
Okay.
sure.
Okay. Mm. Just some people think, particularly like in the video game space, like the kind of content that people want is potentially not sustainable
Sure.
via a sort of subscription service. I don't know. I don't know. I think that no matter what, convenience overrides quality almost all the time.
Mhm.
If left to a free market, people will choose convenience over quality every day of the week. We
Mhm.
saw that with music. People would listen to terrible quality MP3 stuff and risk viruses to their computer to get free music
Mhm.
that they could put on their MP3 player. They sacrifice quality for convenience. And when with movies now, it's like the reason a DVD, other than I don't think image quality for people, it's easier. CDs to skip songs, it's easier. And I think that having everything streaming is just easier. And so if that means we get less quality content, I think people will be okay with that. I think we're getting really poor quality content in a lot of places, and people
Mhm.
seem just fine with it the way it is. So I think
Yeah.
I don't I see this being the way it's going to be. I just thought maybe you'd give me some hope, and there's something else that's going to change, or I don't know.
Well, I mean, to give us hope, we did reject, and I was right, Quibi.
Yeah. Yep.
So, I'm
We had
sorry,
some
it's
quibbles with
cold
Quibi.
comfort. Yeah, it's
Mhm,
cold comfort, but, it is semi-comforting that we weren't all about convenience.
mhm, mhm. All right, well, everybody out there, get ready for your Netflix to pony up if you've been password
Yep.
sharing.
Yep, pony up if
Um,
you've been password sharing, or decrease your plan if you want some ads
yep,
busting in your programs.
yep. Well, I think Comcast or someone's going to have to pony up for some severance packages for
Mhm.
the network of G4. My camera just went
Mhm.
again. Uh,
It
Darn
did,
it.
it did. So yeah, so I don't obviously know as much about this as you might, but I did see, there have been some excuses floating around of like, oh, G4 was never meant to be this like long running thing. It was supposed to be this like limited, we're bringing it back, nostalgia. And
Mm.
it's like, guys, can we just like admit we failed? It's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. It's not like we're up for, a limited series, drama Academy Award here. Like that's obviously not the purpose of G4
Yeah.
TV. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was excited when it was announced because I had good
Mhm.
memories of it and stuff. Someone on the Defining Duke podcast brought up a really good point that I hadn't thought of though. Just that like we could have been left with those memories. Now, anytime someone brings up G4, it's going to be thinking about this dumpster fire.
Yep.
Like it's l- literally ruined the memory of G4. I mean, we can still obviously think back, but this is the thing that people will think of for many years to come.
Mhm.
And it's too bad because I think G4, the conception of this was probably a bad idea because they went all in. They spent a lot of money on this.
Mhm.
And it's shocking that it lasted so short a time though.
Mhm.
I think had things been managed better, and people been a little more responsible, it could have gone longer than it did and at least built up some people's career. Like some people were already known that joined and they'll be fine. They'll be absolutely fine because they already
Right.
had big followings and stuff like that.
Right.
Other people didn't probably get that chance yet. You know, they could have been there if this had been going longer. They could have built up their own fan base and following an audience. So then, when this is dead, like it was always going to be, then they would be able to, sustain themselves and bring their audience with them. So I
Mhm.
think that to me is the biggest tragedy.
Yeah.
Um, because it was like 200 people or something that they had working there. It's a large number. And I don't know. So I don't know if you follow the story of this at all or whatever. If you're in the gaming space, like following the media of things, it's like definitely hard to avoid. Um, but man,
Mm.
quite a quite a roller coaster. And
Yeah.
someone like I feel like Adam Sessler, that's another thing. Like I always gave the guy leeway because I liked the show he created and was a part of back in the day. But man, he is an unstable person. He is
Yeah.
an unstable person. And I just like the kind of tirades after this like fell through is pretty
Mm.
stunning to me. So
Yeah.
yeah.
This is unfortunately showcasing the full dangers of rebooting something that's been beloved.
Yeah.
There's always a chance you could just totally, pardon my expression, shit the bed and, wipe out decades of great memories with something poorly conceived that just goes down in flames.
Hmm.
And that's unfortunately what has happened here.
Yep. I just hope some of the people that seem like good people that were there do well.
Right, they make it out.
There's the I think completionist or something like that. He seemed like a good dude. He had a big following. He'll be fine. Um, there's Gina Darling. She seemed cool.
Mm,
I don't know what she'll get up to, but hopefully she does well. So
mhm.
we'll see where where some of these people end up. But
Yeah, good luck.
yep. So G4 TV, it's dead. It's done. It's
Mm,
buried. So yeah.
RIP.
Um yeah. The couple franchises, one to be resurrected and one that
Mm,
is going stronger than ever. We'll
mhm.
start with the latter, Resident Evil. Resident Evil, we had a showcase this week. They talked a little bit about the DLC and such, and Resident Evil Reverse, which if you have Village, you get a free access to that starting tomorrow, I think. The DLC, giving you like third person point of view options, and the story DLC with Rose comes out on 28th, I believe. But the
Mhm.
big deal was more gameplay and footage from Resident Evil 4 Remake. Andrew, you don't care about this, right?
Not at all. What would give you that impression? I never talk about Res Evil 4.
um, well, I was happy because the first thing was we saw of it was really more of an announcement, like it's happening. We didn't really see much of
Mhm.
anything. It was quite the tease,
Right,
and
right.
this gave us a better idea what's to come.
Yeah, I mean, we got not only like storyline sneak peeks, but we got extended gameplay, which by the end I admit was extended gameplay. I was a little nervous about this like little 5-minute clip here, and 2 minutes of it was Leon walking. I was like, oh man, don't tell me you misnamed this because I will be really pissed. But then yeah, no, we did actually get a look at gameplay, which I was very excited about.
Mhm.
Um, I think they wisely kept it to earlier moments in the game. Kind of iconic opening feel of Leon discovering what world he's in, what's happening, where he is, who he's among. Very solid choices in showing us what's going on. Um, yeah, I'm very excited. It's one of those things that, like Black Adam, I am equal parts excited and terrified
Yeah.
because this is something that I don't want to be a G4 TV. I don't want it to go up in flames. I don't want it to be this like horrible, shutdown disaster kind of scenario. I want it to do well. Um, so far so good. I mean, everything I've seen looks great, but I mean, that's the point of a trailer, isn't it? To make things look great.
Yeah, I mean it is yeah, it is worrisome because the remakes they've had before now are very
Mhm.
good, but those games are different. They're shorter
Yep.
experiences. RE4 is very long, and it also was kind of the start of it was the start of things getting a little more action oriented. So it was a good mix of horror and action, and also
Mhm.
had a lot of the cheese. There was some silly lines and silly things, and people pointed out like it's nice to see that Leon's still doing like backspins against, like to knock
Yes.
people out, and had a
Yes.
corny line in there somewhere. So like people are kind of hoping that it
Kill
keeps
me
the
later.
yeah, yeah, that they keep the attitude and
Yes.
tone
Yeah,
because it is fundamental to what that game is. So
completely agree. Yeah. So, like I said, I mean, watching this is very exciting because it does feel, I mean, different but the same, which of course a remake would. Um, but yeah, there's plenty of time to see other things. I hope they all go as well as this did.
yep. Well, speaking of going well, the Silent Hill showcase went well, I
Yes.
guess. It's it's really shocking to me. I mean, we've been talking about Silent Hill coming back for a long time. Where we was
Hmm.
thinking Hideo Kojima was going to be doing a Silent Hill game or something like that or whatever, but this event showed us that Konami is coming back and they're giving us, I think, four different games or something, or is at least three, and then a couple like series. So they're just sort of going all in. I think the big one people right now are focusing on is the remake of Silent Hill 2,
Hmm.
which is the one everybody seems to figure is the best. Um,
Hmm.
I have not played Silent Hill. I've only watched the first movie, so that's my exposure to Silent Hill.
Well, then it's good exposure. The first movie is one of my all-time favorites. Um, I will absolutely not say anything about the second one other than don't ever watch it, because it ruins everything about the franchise, and there I will stop. Um, yeah, so I played Silent Hill quite a long time ago. I haven't played any of the second. I only played the first. Then fell in love with the first movie. Watched the second movie. Was terrified that somehow the game and the movie were related, so I never wanted to. So yeah. But this I was like, you know what? I'll put on my big girl pants, watch this showcase here, watch some spoilers, and dang, if they'd only based the second movie off of this, we might not have had the train wreck that it was because this is great.
Looks cool, huh?
This
Yeah.
yeah, this storyline looks amazing. It looks well put together. It looks haunting,
Mhm.
which Silent Hill is. It's less action oriented than, something like Res Evil 4. Um and it's more psychological. It's more, I mean, it is horror and action, but it's just less on the action, less emphasis there. It's a
Mhm.
lot more about internal as it is external struggle.
Yeah, people seem to really credit uh Silent Hill with not only Silent Hill 2 with not only, being the hallmark of the franchise, but of being very influential to the horror genre of games in
Mhm.
general. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm excited for this. I'm hoping to actually try this now, try a Silent Hill game for the first time. Though I
Good.
have to say the project I'm most excited for, honestly, is Silent Hill F, which is based they just released a cinematic trailer for. It just looks very beautiful. Don't know anything about it other
Mm,
than it's based in
I know nothing of
60s
this.
Japan,
Okay.
1960s Japan, and that's all I needed to hear. Silent Hill with that trailer, the flowers in 60s Japan. I'm interested. So, some people are a
Interesting.
little worried about the studios that are behind these games or whatever,
Mhm.
but I don't know. Way too early to tell for as far as I'm concerned. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting. Yeah,
But
I'll have to take more of a look at that later. Shouldn't
yeah.
take the show.
Yeah, there's lots to look at
Yeah.
as far as, Silent Hill goes, and, I'm just so shocked we got so much of it. So, yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
Lots of horror games to look forward to. I'm hoping to get to some horror games, before and around Halloween here.
Yeah, 1 week to go.
I know, I know. Gotta finish up RE2. Alright. Speaking of something that we need to finish up, we're behind on, but we're
Yes.
gonna keep trekking through it. House of the Dragon. We're talking about episode
Mhm.
8 right now. And so that's a couple old, and there'll be a new one tonight. And let me correct myself from I don't know when. I've been running off the assumption basically for whatever reason in my head that there were gonna be 8 episodes of this show.
Oh,
And so
that's
I
hilarious.
was
Mm,
but
yeah, no,
that's
I
what we've
know.
been thinking. And then shortly after our last episode, I had heard someone saying like, "Oh, I'm so excited for the penultimate episode, episode 9 or whatever." I'm like,
Mhm.
"I was what? What?"
Yeah.
I'm confused. So,
Yeah,
anyways,
I
yes, there's
absolutely thought
10.
there were only
Yeah.
8.
Um, but yeah, let's jump right into it. House Dragon episode 8. Spoiler warning.
Mhm.
Um, I thought this episode was like remarkably sweet.
Wait,
Like
what?
like kind of emotional and heartwarming in a way.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I just to me this episode it was really we've been leading to this and very well leading to it
Mhm.
the deteriorating health of the king, and
Mhm.
in this we kind of reach that breaking point like he's in very bad shape, milk of the poppy all the time. He's not
Yeah.
really running things most of the time, needs to be helped all over the place, really horrible
Mhm.
condition. And it was hard to watch, but amazingly portrayed. And
Yes.
I I just I thought it was a really good episode to like honor this portrayal of this character.
Mhm.
And I liked the sort of um closure in a way that he got.
Mhm.
He sort of got to have, a memory or whatever of maybe
Mhm.
things are going to work out peaceably
Mhm.
here. And so I just like that a lot.
Yeah, yeah. This episode was definitely making the audience feel all the feels. It made me feel all the feels. I am wearing black tonight, for to mourn Viserys, Patty Considine. Hats off to you, sir. A brilliant portrayal. I didn't always like Viserys, but I always loved his portrayal of
Mhm.
Viserys. And I always was wanting with Viserys, I think, in a good way. Like there were always moments where I was like, you can do this. Like you can be like stronger. Like I believe you. You have these like flashes, like committing to um his daughter being named heir and like making everybody swear to it, like holding the line, holding together his family. He just had these like absolute excellent moments and he showed off some of that in this episode with once again backing Rhaenyra and making his way to sit upon the Iron Throne when he clearly hasn't in years.
Right.
Just showing up for her and being that presence for her. So yeah, so he had absolutely brilliant moments here. I was, not ashamed to say welling up, you know, at various times, seeing how hard the character was trying to be there for his family. One, showing up and making his way to the Iron Throne. Two, when he showed up for dinner and just
Hmm.
wanted like a nice
Yeah.
family moment where everybody can just shut up for an hour and eat dinner
Yep.
so that he can remember that before he goes.
And
And
he got it. He got
I
that.
mean, he mostly got it.
Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit about that, but yes, he really did um get a wonderful, I'm going to say like 95% wonderful send off from his
Yeah.
family who swallowed much of their pride, you know, so showed up for him, maybe mended some fences. We got some hope there. I think obviously we know maybe some things are going to be crashing down in episode 9, but
Yeah.
episode 8 was giving us hope and we needed that.
Yeah. And I kind of, it was nice to see Allison soften a bit at the moment, some concessions made, much to
Yes.
the like clear dismay or displeasure of her father.
Mhm.
Um, I like that. I liked how Matt Smith's character responded to his brother in this way. Seeing him this way, he put on well that this was actually painful for him. That he didn't like seeing him in this manner. And I
Mhm.
heard that his Viserys's crown wasn't supposed to fall off, and it
Mhm.
did when he was approaching the throne, and everybody
Oof.
just kept going.
Just rolled it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
I
Matt
love
Smith
those
just picked it
moments.
up and put it up back on his head, and so that to me is, like, symbolic in a way as
Mhm.
well, like, even though it's not intentional then, they just did that, and it
Right.
adds to the kind of, like, just accepting you, brother,
Right.
as the king here, like, don't
Right.
have I don't know,
Right.
just
Like, yeah, it's such a great unplanned moment that signals several things for their characters. Like you said, Damon just being like, what's the point in fighting this right now? These are clearly some final moments, so let me help you in these and remember that we're brothers. It's painful for me to see you this way. So, let one of my final acts be one of love and,
Mhm.
brothership here. Um and it gives us great complexity once again for Damon, who just is never all bad. There's
Yeah,
always something that's just redeeming enough about him loving his family, including his brother.
yeah. The other thing I really liked, so throne room scene again. We have 1, 2, 4 characters that are all behave like, so I don't know if I say admirably, but exactly how I want them to. So we're talking about the discussion of who's going to be inheriting. Um,
Mm. Driftmark.
yeah, and so you have the one guy who's understandably like, I like his kind of attitude of I am going to speak what I think here, and you're gonna listen because how dare you tell me how my house is going to be inherited kind
Mm,
of thing. Like I
mm,
totally respect that sort of attitude from him. So I liked that. And that way that
okay.
character worked. I also liked how Rhaenyra, Princess Rhaenyra, is that how you say her name?
Renice.
Rhaenys. How Rhaenys also stood by, "This is what my husband has always wanted, was this."
Mhm.
He told the
Yep.
truth about it and didn't play any games with it. So I like that. I also then liked the king, Viserys, saying, "I'll have your tongue for that. Like, you're gonna
Mm,
put you in your place. You can't speak out like this." Because that's the kind of
mhm,
thing, honestly, I was waiting for in the previous episode with the whole family squabble. It's at some point
mhm,
a lesser king would have like hurt his family some way to
mhm,
put them in line, and
mhm.
he was ready to put this person in line, and then Damon does it for him. You know,
Yep.
you can keep your tongue.
Yeah.
So I that whole thing to me was well done. I liked how everything happened there, and it was a good
Mhm,
final moment of strength for the king, and
mhm,
again a show of unity from his brother. So
mhm. Yeah, I agree with you in that I liked the way the scene played out, and I understood or liked the motivation of several characters here. Like you said, Renice in being like, "Hey, this is my husband's wish," so
yeah,
Um, I didn't for those opposed, I kept wanting to scream out, "Y'all remember Corlys is still alive, right? Like,
yeah,
he's not dead yet.
right,
I know we're all pretending here, but he isn't dead. We haven't seen a body." I mean, I'm hoping that, House of the Dragon isn't gonna do one of those, like, off-screen deaths for a character who
mm,
has been a major player. Um, so I'm fingers crossed, barring anything crazy, we will see Corliss, even if it is just his death scene, in the future here. But so I was sort of like really frustrated with both the High Towers and with Corliss's brother Vaymond here because they were like, well, this should obviously happen. And I'm like, again, Corliss not dead, you know.
right.
I did enjoy Rhaenyra being like, "I don't even know what we're arguing about because he's still alive," and other people were like, "Yep, it's a moot point." I think there was like a small council meeting prior to this big throne room scene where they were all like, should we really even be discussing this? What does it matter? He's alive." But I did love the conclusion, like you said, of Damon just cutting with his words and cutting with his sword and taking care of the situation. Playing the role of, his brother's enforcer once again. Kind of harkened back to the first episode where, I feel so long ago that I almost forgot this, but he was made Lord Commander of the Gold Cloaks, the City Watch, and basically was, in a broader sense, his brother's enforcer.
Yeah,
So this episode kind of brought that back in a little like microcosm here. It was
yep,
nice to see.
yep. Um, what is your statement here? It says, "I love when people say I speak the truth, like the matter is
Oh,
settled."
that was Vaymond when he's arguing with Renice, and he was just like saying a bunch of statements, and he's like, "I speak the truth," and I was like, "And." Like, it just always, like, something bad is gonna happen when someone is just like, "Well, I speak the truth," and you're like, "What are you gonna do about that?" Like, it doesn't always matter here. So, yeah, I just sort of enjoyed, like, his pompous righteousness, and I was just sort of like, you're headed for a downfall when
Mhm,
you say
mhm.
things like that."
Yep.
Um And obviously, he said it like Renice wasn't going to challenge him, which she was like, screw that. I'm definitely gonna challenge you." So
So I see you think that because Ashley kind of was wondering this too. You think that maybe
Mm.
Rhaenyra allowed Allison to slash her wrist, or sort of?
Yeah. So so I really hadn't thought that in the moment. There was a lot of things happening. It was
Yeah,
kind of like a dim, family struggle, like nighttime scene, and I wasn't really
the
watching
show's
that
never dim. I
closely.
don't know what you're talking about. It's very bright.
It always is bright and perfect
Mhm.
and you can see everything. Um, but yeah, so in the episode recap, it really looked like Rhaenyra was taking a second to eye the dagger that she was holding back in Allison's hand, not just as a like I'm worried about this dagger, but as a like slow-mo, I could use this as a
Mm,
tool. And it almost seems like she guides Allison's hand. Now, I mean, I could very much see it argued both ways as a guiding, hey, this is at least my arm and not a, more vital part of my body. Or I could see it as, Allison's gone this far. She's willing to attack me with the dagger, even though I'm stronger. What if I let her cut me in front of all of these people and they see just how crazy she is?
mm.
That she's going to attack me like this. And
Yeah,
then Rhaenyra, I mean, she does, whether it's intentional or accidental, she does come off as like the victim of this because everybody watches Allison stab her, draw blood,
yeah.
draw a fair amount of blood.
Well, I would have totally
So
like dismissed this in a way, but like now both you and Ashley have said this
mhm.
independently, and so I'm like, it must read that way somehow, or we're seeing something about it. So
It did
I
read
don't
that
know,
way to
maybe
me in the very, like, quick recap of that scene, and then,
sure,
like I said in my comments, it was funny because Otto followed that up with, like, "Ah, now I see how determined you are to win, and, you really can play this game." I was like, "Oh my gosh, if it turns out that Rhaenyra actually did this, then basically Otto is telling his daughter he thinks she's got spirit enough to win this based on something she didn't even do,
sure,
which to me is ironic and hilarious.
it's true. That's true. I I would be surprised if they ever answer this. So I think
I
it'd
doubt
be
they
a
would.
yeah.
I
Mm,
think the ambiguity in and the sort of like he could go either way is what makes it play so well.
yep,
But, you know, it's just
yep,
it's just a theory and it's a to me a great one if it is true.
yep. Um, what else do we want to talk about in this episode?
Okay, so I want to talk about a couple of things for sure. Obviously, one, we have this like nighttime conversation between Rhaenyra and Viserys, like after she's seen him, and we, the viewer, have seen him, and we're kind of getting over our shock at how rapidly he's deteriorated.
Right.
She comes to his room, and I was like, "Oh my god, is she going to like try to maybe humanely like smother him with a
Oh
pillow or like put
no.
him out of his I was just like, I don't know. And
You thought
honestly,
Rhaenyra
like,
would do that? I thought
well,
that with
just for like,
Alicent later. I had that exact
well, and
thought with Alicent, but
I actually I did too. I was like, not again. Oh my god, it's actually gonna
yeah.
happen this time. But I honestly, for Rhaenyra, I guess maybe not smother with a pillow, but I just thought maybe like something because her heart would be breaking for her dad, like seeing him
Right.
this way. It wasn't about like
Yeah.
power or,
Right.
a calculated move. It would just be like, "Oh, I just can't. This is so hard, and I can't watch the high towers like puppeteer him,
Right.
give him all this like milk of the poppy that's supposedly helping, but it clearly isn't." So first I was just like, "Oh my gosh, well, how is this scene going to go down?" And then, we get the story of or the bringing up of the story. Do you really believe in Aegon's visions, the threat from the north, the prince that was promised? So we get this great setup of a conversation that is obviously going to haunt us later because they never finish it. And it really, really makes the next episode
Yeah.
obviously take a turn because it sets up this like horrible like half finished, and it sets up one of my least favorite plot devices, which is the half finished conversation or the misunderstood conversation.
Okay. Well, see, I don't I don't have a problem with the misunderstood conversation
Ugh,
element
I
because
hate
I
it.
feel like that is plausible. Like people misinterpret one another all the time. I mean, especially now today with like text messages or something, you fail to understand someone's like
I
tone or whatever, But just
I
I
totally
can
get that.
but my issue with the way it's done here is that I really didn't understand exactly what was happening until they mentioned it in the
Mm,
post credit thing. Now, maybe it becomes
right, same.
abundantly clear in the next episode. And so it's like I'm sitting there with some confusion. And then the next episode, it's like, okay, I get what happened just now. But in the moment,
Mhm,
I'm like, what is happening right now? Like
right.
I didn't
Does
make
he know?
I mean, I got the
Does
idea
he know?
that thinks he's talking to his daughter. I got that,
Right.
but that
We
she is
know.
getting from this that no, actually, I want our son to take the throne. I was not getting that.
See, I got it, and I was insanely annoyed, and I think the outcome of this conversation is why this is one of my least favorite plot devices, is because the outcome of this conversation is Viserys, just before he dies, has a conversation with Alicent where he thinks he's talking to Rhaenyra and she thinks he's talking to her.
Mhm.
Him dying directly afterward now gives like greater import to his words because it's like his dying
Right,
wish.
right.
So I hate that fact. I also hate that because of this like half addled, like, last gasp conversation that they're having, Alicent, who literally for 3 straight episodes has thought her son Aegon is a total piece of shit, is now
Yeah,
like, "Of course he should be on the throne." Like,
yeah,
"Oh, no. You know he's a POS, you know he's a little asshole, he doesn't care about anything, he's gonna make a terrible ruler, but because of some, like, midnight whispered, like, half understood conversation, you're suddenly like, course. The heir, the prince that was promised, like, give me a break. Like, so that's
I
why
mean,
I hate this plot device because I have had my issues with Alicent, but at least she's known, even if she covers it up, that Aegon is a total little, and I just can't think of another word. I'm sorry. He's a total little shit. But now suddenly it's like Viserys's last wish that he's the prince that was promised. BS,
right.
BS. Viserys has never thought that. Like,
But
don't play.
this is clearly just though her hearing what she wants to hear
But why
because
would she want to hear
she
it? She already knows Aegon's a little
because
shit.
she has been groomed since a child by
Mm,
her father to want to take their family to the top, to the Iron Throne. And so, yes, it doesn't matter which of her kids, any of them. That's the point, any of them. Because she obviously logically knows her husband has never talked about like in years, not that they've shown us as an audience anyways, wavering on the idea that his daughter is going to take and should
right,
take the Iron Throne.
right.
So she
Well, and he's never
knows
shown
that.
that to Alicent.
Right.
Like, she's never been like, sure, Aegon, great,
Right.
love it.
Mhm. And
Yeah,
it's just it
that's
is sad because they made inroads into their relationship, Rhaenyra
he
and
did.
Alicent during
Like,
the
look at this
dinner.
moment we're having here if you're watching our screens. Like,
Yeah,
they have a bridge forming. They wanna see each other. Rhaenyra's gonna fly
exactly.
back and come say hey.
And so everyone
Ugh,
knows like you can't change your will in the last moment when you are not of sane mind. You can't do it.
right.
You have to adjust your will and your things and set your affairs in order before that. So when you're sitting there, you can't take that as, and she would know that. Everyone knows that. That's the way. So
Yeah. just
I don't know.
it it frustrates me because Alicent I mean, I had my issues with her, but I was just sort of starting to beginning to like her again. You know, she and Rhaenyra made some inroads. She admitted like, "Hey, I've been stubborn too." She was trying to get her kids to behave for this dinner and give something to Viserys. And now it's just like all wiped away by the fact that she's going to pretend that Aegon isn't a horrible little monster and somehow deserves to be on the throne, even though she told Rhaenyra, I think you're to make a great queen. Just like
Yeah.
flips, just like,
Yep.
ugh.
It's hard to replace your
Speaking of
programming
Aegon,
in moments.
I guess, even though it seems like she did, but then she didn't. Speaking of Aegon, he is obviously displaying for us all what a little turd monster he is during this dinner by trying to like
Yeah.
continuously provoke Jacaerys into something. And I have to say, I love Jacaerys taking the high road and just being like, whatever, because it allowed Helena to speak and burn Aegon better than Jacaerys ever could. When she was like talking about marriage and she's like, "Oh, lady, I think Jacaerys is betrothed to Baela. I can't remember if he's betrothed to
Yeah, I don't
Baela
know.
or Rhaena. I can't remember which of the twins." She's like, "Oh, it's not all that bad. Like he sort of loses interest to you and there's like, just ignores you and there's like, you know what I mean?" She was just like, "Marriage is
That's
just
right.
whatever."
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
kind of, you know what I mean? And it was just sort of like, "Oh, God, it's so good." Like she just like speaks the truth and Aegon is like, "Oh God, like this is my sister wife just owning me."
Yeah, it's quite
So
the
I did quite enjoy that.
yeah, it is that is a family dynamic. That is a fun
Mhm.
family dynamic. I enjoyed
Just
except yeah, obviously the some of the kids got on my nerves, but
yeah.
um I still liked
I
it.
do while we're on the kids, I have to say the
No, I disagree.
no?
I think I know what you're gonna say. I
Is
saw
it
it in your
a is
comments.
it Yes. Yes. Okay. I am so, like, frustrated about this because they aged up Aemond, the next actor who plays Aemond, and he looks way older than all the other
he
kids.
he means business,
He looks it's wrong because he looks older than Aegon,
Yeah.
and it makes me crazy when I have a shot of it, and, it's somewhere in here in the slideshow. They're standing next to each other, and Aegon looks like 15 or 16, and somehow Aemon looks like he's 25.
Right.
And I don't think it's just the eye patch. I think it's just like how tall this character is, like the sharp angles of his face. They just
Yep.
look more defined and less baby faced. And maybe that's a choice, kind of subtly commenting on how, Aegon is immature and he's like a
Yeah.
baby man, but it just looks so weird considering all the other kids look like 15, 16, and he looks 25. Now,
I wonder if
the
it's in the book at all
actor
like that.
the actor seems great. He's doing a great job. It's just
Yeah.
very disconcerting to see all the kids look a certain age and then he looks like a man.
I mean, I even like the confrontation between him and Damon and the sort of like, "I'll back down, but, like, I won't someday," you know?
Right.
It's sort of like, it's, "Yes, I'm a kid yet, and I know when to stop myself here, but watch it, old man," sort of thing, and, so I
Mhm.
liked that thing yet, where it's you reach a point where it's like, at some point, you become stronger than your father or whatever, sort of thing, and,
Sure.
so this is a relative in this manner, and I like that he is the one that to be taken seriously now, and
Mhm.
it would be an interesting element to his character to become the youngest, smallest, picked on one to then like growth spurt and I am
Yeah.
the kind of dominant amongst you clowns.
Yeah, I mean, out of Alicent's two sons with Viserys here, like I always liked Aemond better. And it is a good storyline for him, although I still have trouble with it because he was such a little shit when he's teasing Rhaenyra's boys about their parentage, and that he's continuing to do it now. I just want him to like break away from Kristen and find out who he actually is, because here he just reminded me of Kristen. And I was just like, I don't need more of that like sad character who's like obsessive with just needling this one point.
Oh,
You know
gotcha. Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. Yeah,
Kristen
yeah.
Cole. I was
Yeah.
just like, I don't need you to be a second Kristen because I'm really over him and I really loved that
Yeah.
he wasn't in a bunch of this episode. So if he can get himself a different storyline, I would love that. I just sort of need him to be his own person.
Yep. Yep. All right. House of the Dragon.
Mhm.
No
Mhm.
stern, no stone left unturned.
Yeah, so episode 8 obviously, like you said, gave us all the emotions, the potential for unity between houses, the coming together for Viserys, and now we're going to watch it all shatter in
Yep.
episode 9, as any inroads that have been made are going to instantly dissolve.
Yep.
Should Alicent really pursue, as it seems she's going to, pushing Aegon to take the throne versus Rhaenyra.
Yep.
So we'll see where everybody falls in their allegiances.
Yes. I have to say I was a little like cool. I don't need to hurry and what, like I've got work going on. Like I'll get to the next episode, whatever. But after our conversation, I'm ready for the next one. Let's go.
Me too. Me
So
too.
let's go. All right, that's been House of the Dragon episode 8. We'll be back hopefully next week with episode 9. Keep following along, please. We we're on most of the social things. I get a bunch of them. We're on Facebook and Twitter. Those are the big ones, I guess. Instas or TikTok. Let us know if you demand us be there. YouTube, subscribe to us there, please. Podcast directories, pick your favorite, review us. That'd be much appreciated. Share, all that sort of thing. If you use Spotify, sometimes leave a poll. So I'll answer the
Mhm.
poll, all that kind of fun thing. Killing the Flower, they wrote our theme song. You can check them out on Instagram and YouTube and Spotify. They're
Mhm.
also on Apple Music too, which I found out because they have a new song out. So, Killing the
Yeah, that's
Flower, go
right.
ahead and take a look at that and show them some support. So, otherwise, that's it from us this week.
Mhm.
And Andrea, thanks again for joining me.
Of course. Cheers, everybody.